lessons I've learned, how can you increase your uploads? By the way, if you go live and you cut out some clips, you could go live one time, cut out 3 clips from that, and that could be 4 uploads. You start thinking smarter and not just harder and not just grit and hustle, but you think about strategy, just an observation. And we've learned, and that's one of the things we're implementing at Think Media, is just how do we keep quality high while increasing quantity? Hear me if you say, well, which one's more important? In my opinion, quality is more important. I would rather put out one good video than 7 weak ones because I stretched myself too thin too soon.
So what are the secrets to some of the top performing YouTube channels? Here at Think, we love to study not only our students, but other YouTube channels that may not be considered YouTubers out in the world, meaning they may be businessmen or women, and we love to study what they're doing on YouTube to become successful. You know what I love about YouTube so much is that it's not just about the viral sensations like Mr. Beast, but it can be about everyday content creators and people who are making an impact outside of YouTube and bringing that impact on YouTube. And today, we're going to be diving into some lessons learned from a YouTuber with over 2 million subscribers. My name is Heather Torres, and I am your host of the Think Marketing Podcast, the #1 podcast to help you grow your influence on YouTube and then turn that influence into a high impact and a high profit YouTube channel. If you're brand new to the podcast, I want to encourage you to subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast from. And if you haven't heard, our upcoming Grow with Video Live 2021 is right around the corner. I'll tell you more about that after today's episode, but I am giddy with excitement of all of the things happening this year at this virtual conference. Well, let's get into today's featured content with Sean Cannell, all about how this one YouTuber has impacted our channel.
So I'm super fired up to share 5 powerful YouTube tips and strategies that I think are going to make a real difference in your channel, your business, and what you're building with YouTube. And I actually unpacked and discovered these strategies from Dave Ramsey. Now, you've maybe never heard of Dave Ramsey before. He's pretty well known in the personal finance space, but also kind of in his own niche, and definitely known around kind of more of a conservative audience and a very conservative viewpoint on finances. He's kind of known as the guy that will get you out of debt, debt-free scream, anti-credit cards. But when it comes to YouTube, a lot of people don't realize, even though he got his start on radio and he's been in the game for decades, that his YouTube channel has over 2 million subscribers. It has over 644 million views. And he actually has a second YouTube channel where he does 2-hour live shows 5 days a week. That's where his radio show streams on the radio, plus on YouTube. All kind of, you want to talk about multi-streaming, you want to talk about being live in multiple places at once. And so he goes live for 2 hours a day. That channel has 124,000 subscribers. I don't mean anything by this comparison, but I just looked up how many Google results show up for Sean Cannell per month. And there may be another Sean Cannell or two, who knows. But that's 373,000 Google results. And then I looked up Dave Ramsey, and it's 14,600,000 results. And sometimes Tony Ariola on the Think Media team, and one of my hobbies is to compare things on Google Trends. Like sometimes we compare cameras. So we're like, is the M50 more influential or is Dave Ramsey more influential? You just type in like 2 different things there. You know, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Dave Ramsey, or whoever. You know, he's typing like different names. It's kind of funny. So I type in like Sean Cannell, Sean Cannell is a 0 compared to Dave Ramsey, but Dave Ramsey's he's got a lot of influence, and that's just to put it out there as far as, again, maybe you've heard of him or you haven't, but no matter what you feel about him, whether you love him or hate him, despite some of even the controversy that he's been in lately, none of that is really the point of this episode. The point of this episode is real YouTube strategies that are going to help you win, that he models really well on his massively successful YouTube channel. And the first one is this: create a system and keep it simple. Cool thing about his YouTube channel is he basically has one strategy. We teach it here at Think Media. It's called ASQ, Answer Specific Questions. What he uploads on his main channel, over 2.3 million subscribers, is clips of his radio call-in show where people ask a question and he answers it, or he answers it with one of the Ramsey personalities that he rotates through his show. And so that's it. I mean, that's basically all that's on the channel is him answering specific questions. One question, one answer, one video. He answers audience questions. Now, what's interesting was I was able to actually tour the Ramsey audience building recently, the office building. He's got 1,000 employees, right? It's a $300 million building that they paid cash for because they really don't believe in credit. And it's pretty crazy everything that they've built there. And we hung out with the Entree Leadership Team, which is just the niche within the niche where they teach leadership. And we were learning about what they think makes a great business, which is also true, I think, about what makes a great YouTube channel. And we've actually at the beginning of the year, we did a YouTube strategy session where we put this into a phrase. And the phrase was, the creator who understands the viewer best wins. And when we were with the Entree Leadership Team, what they were saying is they said, what can often happen in a business, content creators, authors, a church, a pastor, is they don't really understand who they're serving. They don't actually really understand, like they're making products that nobody's asking for. They're making features on their products that nobody wanted. They're marketing their products in ways that are not connecting with the audience they want to reach because they're not using the right words. And he said, the number one thing you should do in your company, and this was advice they were giving us, is you should make all of your leaders and all of your team spend real time in conversation with your audience, in real time in conversation with your customers. And they said this, they said, the powerful thing about Dave is he spends 2 hours a day talking to the people we serve every day, 5 days a week. Super powerful. Years into his business, he's still in the streets, if you will, in the trenches, talking to people, which helps him maintain empathy, know where people are at, know the questions they're asking. And so he is super close to the people he's serving. And what they were also saying is they were saying, we got people behind closed doors. We got leaders that are maybe coming up with ideas in a closed room that are out of touch with the people we actually want to serve and help. This is kind of a side point. How can you get closer to the people you're serving? But his system is simple. Started a live show. Go live 2 hours a time. Cut out clips. Answer specific questions. And of course, he's got to level up his craft and formulate his frameworks. And he's got a whole business. He's writing books, creating courses, he's doing all kinds of things. But number one, create a system and keep it simple. What's your YouTube system? How can you simplify it? How can you just create a simple system that scales? Number two, live streaming and repurposing content. If you haven't checked out one of our recent episodes of the Think Media podcast, we talked about some of the new things we do at Think Media that have been very powerful for us. And I saw this in Dave's strategy. Remember how I mentioned he has a second channel with his 2-hour live shows? So he's got a second channel. That's a much smaller channel, by the way. Now you might go, I would kill for 124,000 subscribers. But in comparison to his 2 million subscriber channel, this is a lot of insight for me. That he's got his main kind of core audience that want the long content, right? 2 hours a day, they're subscribed to that channel, 100,000 people. But out of those episodes then, they cut out the highlights and that channel has scaled to the moon. Because a lot of people don't want to spend 2 hours with you, but they might spend 4 hours, 4 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes. So live streaming and repurposing content. He's created a system, goes live a couple days a week. Now, you might not be able to do that. You might not want to do that. For us at Think Media, I do Coffee with Cannell every other week. Heather Torres does the YouTube Made Simple show every other week. We definitely don't do it every day. But even just going live, then what we're able to do is cut out clips. And a lot of times those clips do far better than the show itself. This is a powerful lesson I've learned from Dave Ramsey about YouTube success because he's using the content in multiple ways. That content can also be extended onto social media, and it's helped him make a major impact. And I believe you could figure out if you could figure out how to weave that into your strategy, it could really move the needle for you. Number three, the power of a polarizing point of view. I love this. I mean, if you know Dave, then you know that he's a polarizing person, and it's part of his power. And he's a great example of this because, okay, he's in personal finance. He's helping people get out of debt. He's helping people manage money. Do you know how many people do that? It's uncountable. Do you know how many books there are in personal finance? Unlimited. Do you know how many channels and people you could follow? It's endless. But one of Dave's strengths is having an actual opinion and a polarizing point of view. What do I mean? He's anti-credit card, and they live it from top to bottom at their company. Like, you're probably not going to get in trouble if you have a credit card there, but it's their value system. They want people out of debt. They want people not over leveraged, right? And so they're living so they're practicing what they preach. They know what they preach, but he's got a polarizing point of view. Now think about it this way. There's another guy, personal finance. His name's Robert Kiyosaki. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You ever read that book? Love that book. Love Dave's stuff, Total Money Makeover. And I'm maybe like a hybrid. Like I have credit cards. Do not tell Dave. I do use credit cards. I know but I just do. And I keep the balance paid off. I understand. I'm not even trying to get off into a rabbit trail here. I mean, I do like the cash back. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like I have to defend myself. Dave, there's no way he's watching this. But anyways, but you've got Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Well, what's his belief? He leverages like crazy. Real estate, like flipping real estate to pay for real estate to pay for real estate. They've both been wildly successful. I went to a Rich Dad, Poor Dad event once, and the speaker, this is kind of sketch. The speaker was like, he was telling us to buy mobile homes and flip mobile homes, okay? And he said, and we're like, well, we have no money for this. And out of his pocket, I kid you not, he pulled out a stack of credit cards with a rubber band around them, and he goes, and he's like, this is how you're gonna do it. And this is back when they were just giving out like 0% APR credit cards. And he was like, you could build a real estate mobile home empire with a stack of credit cards. And my wife and I were like, what is going on? Like, this is scary. So, I mean, I'm like, I'm not anti-credit card. I'm definitely anti that, but somewhere in the middle. But here's the thing. They have massively different polarizing point of views. And Robert Kiyosaki is doing great. Dave's doing great. Why are both of them doing great? They're both loud about what they believe. My question for you is, what do you believe? What is your polarizing point of view that you can lean into? Not that you make up, that you're truly convicted by. I think the reason why I respect both of these guys is they're living in integrity. They are sold out. Integrity simply means a whole number. It means you're not divided. You're a whole integer. You're not actually, I'm kind of conflicted. You know why you do what you do. I know my personal discipline in using credit cards to have enough cash in the bank to be able to pay them off and leverage the percentage. I don't feel like I need to defend myself to Dave, even though I just did. And I know where I stand. I know what I believe. And it's not very polarizing. I'm the vanilla guy in the middle that's not willing to take a stand. Listen, what is your polarizing point of view? My polarizing point of view is kind of offensive on a virtual event I did the other day, as I was like, listen, it's irresponsible for you not to be on YouTube. And YouTube is the best social media platform, period. It just is. Like, I was like, it's the only platform where your content lives forever. I just don't want to post day after minute on all these other social media platforms. I love them. I support them. I want to leverage YouTube to build systems and a team around so we can make a greater impact on those platforms. But as a solo individual, the best return on my time is YouTube. I'll live or die in LA for YouTube. I got to go YouTube. And so it's just, what's your polarizing point of view? And one of the things that's helped Dave cut through the noise, and you'll notice this, influencers that stand out make a stand for something. Influencers that stand out stand for something. They're willing to pick a fight. They're definitely not afraid if they call someone out, call out their viewpoint. They say, this is where I stand, this is what I believe. And this can really accelerate your YouTube channel. Not something you force, and it's not something that's fake. It's when you go deep on what are your values, what are your convictions, what are your beliefs, and you build your polarizing point of view. Number 4, volume of videos. Now, these are just some lessons I've learned from Dave. We can't all do these immediately because this one's about to make you spit out your coffee and fall out of your chair. How many uploads does Dave post per month? Well, at the time of recording this, the answer is 82. It's pretty gnarly, isn't it? 82 uploads a month. Think media. We are a team, and we're on the way up. We're on our journey. And Tony Ariola is our executive producer, and we're on our way to 7 a week. That's 1 a day. And after this episode, I'm going to have an all-team meeting, and I'm going to say, listen, if we're not at 82 uploads a month, then you're all fired. That's the next move. I'm just kidding, right? But like volume of videos. And we've often said that if you double your videos, you double your views. Here's the question. It shouldn't stress you out. It shouldn't make you say, I'm going to stop sleeping. That's where I'm going to get the extra hours. I just won't sleep. No, that's not the answer. But the answer is thinking about, okay, how could I? Instead of saying, it's kind of like Rich Dad, Poor Dad would say, the way my rich dad taught me, he said, don't say I can't afford it. Say, how can I afford it? You know what I mean? Don't say I can't do 82 uploads a month. Say, how could I do 82 uploads a month? Dave is not just starting. Dave had a successful business before YouTube started. So, I mean, you got to give yourself some credit. You got to give yourself, but 82 uploads, there's a reason why he's getting 16.3 million views a month. On his channel, 5,308 uploads so far. Volume of videos, volume of uploads. Lessons I've learned, how can you increase your uploads? By the way, if you go live and you cut out some clips, you could go live one time, cut out 3 clips from that, and that could be 4 uploads. You start thinking smarter and not just harder and not just grit and hustle, but you think about strategy, just an observation. And we've learned, and that's one of the things we're implementing at Think Media is just how do we keep quality high while increasing quantity? Hear me if you say, well, which one's more important? In my opinion, quality is more important. I would rather put out one good video than 7 weak ones because I stretch myself too thin too soon. But I want to ask, man, how can we keep quality high and increase volume? And by the way, I didn't even touch on the fact that Dave has personalities. So there's actually about like 10 channels in their network and they're uploading on those channels as well. Obviously, that's team, that's more people, that's more systems, that's infrastructure. This is not something you do overnight, but it is something you want to grow into. So think about how that could apply at just the smallest level. Man, how could I go from 1 upload to 2? What would I need to do? How much money would I need? Who would I maybe need to hire? What would I need to delegate? How could I turn 1 video into 2 by just being intentional? That could really help me get more views, grow my subscribers faster, grow my revenue faster, so I have more money for the mission. And then number 5, and I also have a bonus tip for you, a 6th tip. But number 5 that I love and an observation that I see Dave Ramsey do and some of the personalities, the Ramsey personalities do that lead to a lot of impact is I see them do trend surfing. Now, if you're new to the Think Media podcast, super grateful that you're here. And I encourage you to go back in our library and look up the Think Media podcast episode about trend surfing where we go deeper on it. But essentially, it's where you're talking about things that are happening in pop culture, things that are happening in culture now. And I shouldn't even say pop culture because here's how it happens for Dave Ramsey. It's actually connected to his simple system. Why? Because someone calls in talking about what's on their mind at that moment. So right now, at the time of recording, the housing market's crazy. People are like, should I sell? It keeps going up. Should I buy right now? And so that is actually a trend. Sometimes it's a lot more chill. It's like stable. No one's really talking about it. People are just doing what they're doing based on what their family, but it's an edgy topic. Is it too late? Is the bubble about to burst? It's what's on people's minds. So naturally, many of the videos that they'll talk about in these simple ASQ videos, answer specific questions, are about what is happening in the now moment. So Dave will commentate on the news, on the economy, on the stimulus checks, on cryptocurrency, on the real estate market. And because he's trend surfing, some videos, 82 uploads a month, some just impact a few of the subscribers. It's just a solid video. You know, it's like a solid base hit. But some are a home run. And sometimes when the bases are loaded, it's a grand slam because he hits the right topic at the right time with the right thumbnail and the right title in that right moment and surfs a trend. I definitely encourage you for more strategy and our favorite ways to spot trends. Check out that video in the archive of trend surfing on the Think Media podcast. But those are 5 tips, and I want to give you a bonus one in just a second. And ask yourself, again, what's the next right step for you? You know, you can't do all of these things all at once, and complexity is the enemy of execution. So we start with number 1, keep it simple. But what's a simple tweak? Can you start a live show? Maybe once a month and just repurpose. Like you could go live once a month and then repurpose clips once a week and stretch it out over 4 weeks. Like there's ways to make this simple so that you can go down the path of least anxiety, go down the path of least overwhelm while using leverage to create exponential results. But bonus tip number 6, that I've learned from Dave Ramsey about YouTube success is that Dave and his team and Ramsey Solutions have built a business that's bigger than YouTube. And at Think Media Podcast, this is our heart like more than anything. We help you with YouTube, but our vision is to help you build a profitable business around your YouTube channel. And we actually are going to be going deep on that at our event, growwithvideolive.com, because it's not just about the views, it's not just about the subscribers, but it's about what else have you built around your business, around your YouTube channel that is in a real sustainable business. It helps for Dave Ramsey because he had a business preceding. He's helping people he had curriculum, books. Nowadays, he's got an app that helps you save money. It's free. There's paid aspects of it. He helps connect you with financial service providers. There's different ways where he makes affiliate income and connections of that. 1,000 employees paid $300 million in cash to build buildings and is building a conference center so they can do events on their property in Nashville. Cash. They build at the speed of cash, and so touring their property. So what's the bigger business you're building? YouTube ultimately, there's YouTube ads, amazing, right? Super chat, cool. Affiliate marketing, brand deals, awesome. But what's the bigger business? And the powerful thing is that all this traffic, he's on multiple platforms, but YouTube alone, 16 million views a month, crazy. But what's really crazy is how that leads into other products and programs and IP, intellectual property. And so the question I have for you is, what's the bigger business you're building? How can you build a bigger business that is not dependent on YouTube, that is not all about YouTube, but that's about the legacy and the impact, the problem you solve, the people you serve, who you help and how you help them, and something that can outlive YouTube? And if you want more help with that, I want to encourage you, don't miss our event, Grow with Video Live. We are going to be giving you the latest strategies on how to get views and how to grow your subscribers, and of course, how to really crush it on YouTube. But then how do you connect those strategies to build a real influencer business? And my definition of influencer is a thought leader business. If you want to be an author, speaker, coach, consultant, online course creator, online marketer, if you want to be an influencer, I think about the influencers of old are those like Marcus Aurelius. I don't know why he came to mind first. Plato. I'm talking about like Greek philosophers here. Talking about Abraham Lincoln, and I think about like Lincoln on Leadership and different books I've been like influencers, people who influenced culture, people who influence the world. And if you listen to this podcast, maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to create a course. Maybe you want to teach what you know. Maybe you want to be paid for your expertise. Maybe you want to solve a problem. Maybe you want to create physical products and build online businesses. There's so much opportunity in the creator economy over this next decade. And at Grow with Video Live, we're going to be going deep. And you're going to be leaving with a growth plan and a business model and a game plan and clarity, cutting edge content that's going to help give you an edge over the next year. And you're going to be making connections with other like-minded, purpose-driven leaders, purpose-driven content creators, mission-driven people that don't just want to build their influence, but also want to make a major impact and difference in the world while doing it. So I hope you could be a part. It's a virtual event. You don't got to fly anywhere. You don't got to get a hotel room. And we made it super affordable, but make sure to lock in the lowest ticket price. And you can join us at growwithvideolive.com for Grow with Video Live 2021.
So I'm curious to know, did you know who Dave Ramsey was before this episode? I've followed Dave Ramsey for quite a while. And before I really jumped on YouTube as a content creator, I didn't really even know that he was posting that much on YouTube. And I love his simple strategy. He's answering simple questions. He's just sitting there. It's just a forward-facing, just a regular shot, no B-roll. He's just answering specific questions. And I hope that you can take some of these tips that we've learned from Dave Ramsey and apply it to your YouTube channel. And if you have not gotten your tickets yet, to Grow with Video Live. Can you tell how excited I am when I talk about this? It's coming up really soon, August 2021. So make sure you grab your tickets. This is like the coming home party for all of the Think fam. This is where everyone is. If you're a content creator from around the world and you're getting serious about growing your YouTube channel, maybe you haven't even started, or maybe you're over 100,000 subscribers. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle. This is the conference for you. At Grow with Video Live 2021, this virtual experience is going to be immersive and it's going to be so much fun. Along with the fun, you are also going to be taking away tactics and strategies that you can apply to your YouTube channel this year and beyond. We're serious about making sure that this content is fresh and fun, and we have so many great sessions planned for you. So make sure you get your tickets today at growwithvideolive.com. Now, if you know the podcast, you know that one of my favorite things is getting to read your comments over on our Apple Podcast. I got it right this time. It's Apple Podcasts. In other episodes, I keep calling it iTunes because Tony, our producer, has pointed out to me that I'm old and that iTunes is how the old people say it, but it's the Apple Podcast. I get it. That's where you can actually leave your comments and rate and review this so that other content creators can know that this is the spot for them. Today's comment comes from Kathy at Fabulously Frugal. Kathy said, solid, concise, actionable. Yes, I love that, Kathy. I love Tuesday mornings because it means I have more wisdom dropping from Think. Each podcast generates ideas, strategies, and actionable items, chock full of golden nuggets. A must listen for any YouTube creator who is serious about creating change on the tubes. Kathy, I love that review. Thank you so much for saying we're chock full of golden nuggets. That makes my heart so happy because we put so much time and energy into making sure that these podcasts are concise and that they give you those actionable steps to take away from. I hope you're enjoying this while you're driving in your car, walking your dog, doing your dishes, or folding your laundry. Whenever you listen to the podcast, I'm just so grateful that you've chosen Think to be one of those podcasts that's influencing your YouTube journey. Well, we are going to head into our next episode next week, but make sure you get your tickets to Grow with Video Live, and I'll catch you there next time. Bye.
Not growing on YouTube? Learn the newest strategies for getting views and the best proven ways to make money at Grow with Video Live, a 2-day virtual conference, and you can get your tickets today at growwithvideolive.com.